Hello everybody, I'm Jordan with All 7 Tech Solutions. I'm here today to demonstrate this great new product we have in from Samsung Canada. This is called the Samsung Flip 2.0. It's a digital whiteboard and I can't wait to show you more about it. Alright, so the Samsung Flip 2. A great digital whiteboard from Samsung that actually has its own built-in operating system. No extra computer required to set this up in your office or your home. Basically, the whiteboard device works as a multi-function display. You can use it, as you can see here, with the pen/highlighter, or you can erase what you're drawing with your hand, or you can scroll through different roles using your hand. We have a brush mode, a capability that lets you use, draw like you're painting something with the brush. You can select different things with the device, and you can even take notes. But not only is this a whiteboard, but we can actually use it to cast wirelessly our screen from our laptop, or if our screens on our laptop don't support that we can use an HDMI cable. We have a redirect capability that works wirelessly as well, so you can actually use the screen to control your laptop. And if you don't have a computer that supports that, we have a nice USB interface that lets you do that touch redirect over USB. So one of the reasons why we're so excited about the Samsung Flip 2 is Samsung has actually partnered with Cisco Systems to actually build a Cisco mode into the device. The Cisco mode works with the WebEx RoomKit Mini to enable this device as a full-blown video conferencing and whiteboarding device between people around the world. So we'll do a little bit of a demo about the Cisco mode in another video later on. But today, let's get right down to some of the nuts and bolts of how we use the device. All right, so first off, how can we start whiteboarding with this device? Well, when the device is up and running, it works as a touchscreen. So of course, as you saw it, I touched it there. But we have a nice stylus here that we can grab, and we can actually start using it in the pen mode or the brush mode. The styluses are magnetically attached to the device, so it makes it super easy to throw it up there. And we also have another one on this side. When we use the stylus, let's just draw a nice happy face to get started here. I can actually take the back of the stylus and I can use it as a highlighter. Maybe I want to highlight this side of the drawing. And this works really great because maybe you're sitting here co-creating with someone on your team, or you've got a customer that's come in to visit in front of the device, and you can pull up a drawing if you want to, or you can start marking things up, and you might want to just highlight over something, right? And we also support a few different things with this submenu. You can create layers, and you have a undo button, which takes us back. And we also have a submenu. So you can actually create multiple images, and it saves it on the display in something called the roll browser. In addition, you can take and import information from the top menu, from mobile, PC, from USB, from the internet using a web browser, as well as Samsung Workplace, which supports things like remote desktop protocol and VNC and connection into VMware. On the export side of things, we can send anything we're drawing out via email. We can send it out to a printer, USB, and/or screen share wirelessly, or throw it out to a network drive. And yet again, where would we be without mobile? So I've got my smiley face here. But you know what? I'm not sure if I really like that. So I'm just going to use my finger to erase part of it. But I can use my hand to erase it all. Really similar to a chalkboard back in the school days, right? Because we're up here in the mountains, of course I want to draw that and the nice sun coming over the top of the mountains here. But you know what? Super easy to just erase that if that's not what I wanted. That's the Samsung Flip. So one of the features that I really like about the Samsung Flip is how I don't even have to pair my phone or my laptop to it just to start getting access to some content. So what I'm going to do is I grab the menu here, the import menu from the top, and I'm just going to pick the internet browser. And as you can see, it's loading up the Samsung's website. But you know, I can do different things with this. I have the tabs like I would normally have in a web browser. I can actually grab it and move it around if I want to. And this layering capability gives you the ability to stack multiple things on the screen. I can tap it and type in a different website. So in this case, I'm going to go to our business website. I previously typed it in there, but it also remembers the last few websites that you've been to make it a little bit simpler. And as you can see, I can actually surf the website just by using the touch interface. You can see here we've got a really nice display here with the Cisco Room Kit. So say, for example, I've come over this image on the website and I decided, okay, I want to show, or we want to mark this up. So I've got my stylus, and the best way to do that is you grab from the bottom and you can create an overlay. So as you can see, a little blue image went over the top to indicate that you're on a new layer. So perhaps I want to highlight that I'm going to meet somebody, right? And I also like chatting. And don't forget whiteboarding, right? So pretty awesome being able to annotate over top of whatever you've got on the display. So after the fact, we can actually turn off that overlay mode. It will ask us what we want to do with it. It says, do you want to close the notes layer and save it as a captured image? So I can say don't save to take me back to where I was with my web browser, or I can overlay again. I'll just do a little circle around meet, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn off the overlay one more time, and I'm gonna hit save. So now that it's saved, where did it go? If we pop in here under the roll browser, we should see that it's actually saved an image that I can pull up, where I can export and use later. I'll just tap on that. So as you can see, it looks exactly like it did before because it's an image, but it's no longer an actual web browser, right? All right. So Samsung Flip's import menu. We talked about earlier about the internet web browser. As well, let's look at the Samsung Workplace, some of the options that we have here. This is pretty cool, especially with the fact that maybe you don't even need a computer to access some of these services. So through the Samsung Workplace, we can remote connect to a PC, we can access Office 365, VMware Horizon for people working with virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, and or access a network drive. So Samsung really went the extra mile by building this really into this whiteboard, whether it's in the boardroom or in a home office or in a private kind of workspace setting. Let's just click on Remote PC to look at some of the options here. As you can see, I can actually type in the IP address or DNS name of a server I might want to connect to. And I can actually pick whether I want to connect with Remote Desktop Protocol to a Microsoft computer or use VNC to remote into pretty much anything running VNC. Spot to put in our username and password, and away we go to connect. When we pop down here from the Samsung Workplace yet again, we can pop onto Office 365. And this is just a familiar web browser interface where you can sign in using your normal Office 365 account. Perhaps you want to access your Word Online or Excel Online documents and show someone right on the board without even pulling your laptop out or connecting up a computer to the board. And X to close. All right, so that's some of the options available in the Samsung Workplace. So for some of you who haven't really experienced the Samsung Flip yet, you're probably wondering, well, why do they call this the Samsung Flip? As you can see, the stand that I've got it on here, it's a wheeled cart and allows me to take it all around my office and move it around however I want to. But not all the time am I going to be working on it in a wide scale, horizontal format like this. Sometimes I'm going to want to flip it over and turn it into more of like an easel. If I wanted to draw on an image, I just grab the stylus and get to work. That's the Samsung Flip. With the stand on the wheels, we can flip it over, and there's also a wall mount that flips if you wanted to throw it on the wall that way. But if you're not really interested in the flipping function, of course you can use it as a standard display and permanently fix it up on the wall or a cart. And it's just using a standard VESA mount, so you can mount it just like any other display or TV. All right, so one thing I'd like to show you is a bit about the connectivity options with the Samsung Flip. So just like any display, we actually have HDMI in. There are two HDMI in ports on the back, and there's a really nice cover that covers up the ports so they don't look so ugly, with a cable manager for most cables going out the back of the device. So we have two HDMIs in, but in some cases you're looking for something a little bit different. And one of the things I like about the Samsung Flip is I can be working on this board and drawing and working on something, but I wanted to send it out to something else. Like maybe I'm in a classroom setting and I want to have a projector to send it up on a bigger screen. So there's actually a module that you can buy that plugs in the bottom here. The module actually gives you an HDMI out where it replicates the screen out to anything else. So you might be sending the screen out to that projector, as I mentioned, or to a media mixer, any other device that you have that you incorporate it into your classroom or a presentation environment. As well as that module that goes on the bottom supports near field. So you could actually take your Samsung phone and quickly pair it to the device to get access to some of the content and instant sharing capabilities that Samsung's built into the platform. So with the Samsung Flip, we've shown you already how we can just start drawing on the board, and we could bring up a website and create an overlay. But in some cases, you really want to be working with a template. And so that's where we have a function called Forms. So we have this bottom menu here where we're just going to pop in and go to what we call the Forms menu. And in the Forms menu, we can start with a white background, a black background, green, or in fact, your foolscap lined ruled paper, a grid paper if you wanted to work on that. And then we also have calendar options, so like weekly, monthly, and checklist that you could look to put together. Any kind of planning information just on the fly. So if you're sitting down with your team and you're like, okay, well, really, we want to plan out the rest of this month. We could preview that just so I can show you what it looks like. It brings up a background that starts off with the full monthly calendar, and you can just grab the pen and start just planning and brainstorming right on the image top. And so this works like a layer on the back of your image as you continue to plan. Just to have a quick look at one of the other options, let's just pick grid for a second so you can see how easy it is to pop up a nice grid, and you can just start working right on the board. All right, so I've got my flip rotated sideways here in portrait mode. And as I mentioned, I really like the mountain option here. These are the Rocky Mountains, and you can tell I'm an incredibly good artist, right? I think I'm getting the point across. We've got a nice river coming out here, and I just want to hold this here and show you that that's a river. Incredibly responsive display. One of the things I like about this is, if I'm working on some content here, but I want to make a larger image, we have an ability to roll on. And as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see this down here, I can actually grab it just like I would a roll of paper and bring it up to page number 2, right? And so on here, I'm going to be drawing something a little bit different. This is more of a wider valley. And I'll make sure I have the right color here as well. Right? So as you can see here, gotta make sure I have a little bit of a waterfall or something in there. So this is just a page 2 of our roll, and if I wanted to, I can continue right on and pull that out, or I can go back and work on the previous image that I'd worked on. As you can see, it's incredibly fluid and easy to grab, and it works whether you're actually doing it in the portrait mode, or if you're actually going horizontally back and forth in the horizontal mode. You can work on one image, and we call this the roll feature in the Samsung Flip. So great for artists, great for presentations, and it works well, if you want to bring up your computer remote into it or whatnot. That's the Samsung Flip for everybody. So when we're talking about Whiteboard, some people are curious, well, what do we do about security of information? Say this is in a corporate meeting room, and there's the executive C-suite meeting, and everybody's whiteboarding some pretty sensitive information up on the display. How do we make sure that this is cleared out? There is a bit of a difference between those who use the Cisco WebEx board or the Cisco Spark board, because that device automatically deletes all the sensitive content after you've had a session. In this case here, I want to advise everyone to how to get in and delete the content on the device. So from the bottom menu here, we can actually pick the menu and get into something called the roll browser. So when we pop into the roll browser, we can actually see all the different rolls or pages of images that we've actually worked on the Samsung Flip. So from this actual interface, we have the ability to search by date or by name. We can actually filter out, whether it was a pen mode or brush mode, or we can actually go into select. And from the select menu, we have the ability to select the images and click export or delete. So as I'm done for this session, and I really don't need these images anymore, and of course, we want to make sure we're not leaving any sensitive information around, we go ahead and select those and just hit delete. And hit continue, and it will delete it off the device. It's a permanent delete. Well, I hope you enjoyed the journey of learning about the Samsung Flip 2.0. This great whiteboard device is now available here in Canada, as well as around the world from Samsung. If you have any questions that we haven't covered today, feel free to send them on our way. Until the next video, thanks so much for joining us. Take care. Bye for now.